Florida's no stranger to wild weather, but this morning's chaos left even seasoned meteorologists speechless. As the sun rose over the Gulf Coast, a powerful storm system exploded out of the Gulf of Mexico and slammed into Mexico Beach with almost no warning. Mobile homes flipped like toys. Power lines snapped like twigs. Campers who came for a calm weekend found themselves running for their lives as roaring winds shook the air like a passing freight train. Emergency alerts buzzed across Bay County. Meteorologists warned of dangerous rotation inside the storm, while terrified families huddled in bathrooms, praying their walls would hold. First responders rushed toward the El Governor Beach Resort, straight into piles of wreckage, even as another brewing threat began hundreds of miles away. Down in South Florida, thick tropical air collided with a fast-moving system overhead. The result? A brutal downpour that stalled right over Boca Raton. More than 5 inches of rain fell in just 2 hours. Streets vanished under swirling floodwater. Cars stalled, drifting helplessly like abandoned boats. The Boca Raton airport shut down completely, runways turned into shallow lakes. People trying to get home found themselves trapped as the water rose fast. One elderly man was pulled from his sinking car by strangers who refused to just stand by. Cell phone footage hit social media almost instantly. Headlights glowing underwater, alarms blaring, and sirens echoing across neighborhoods drowning in chaos. Back in Mexico Beach, morning light revealed a nightmare. The storm that struck had the strength of a tornado, tearing straight through neighborhoods still recovering from past disasters. Radar showed clear signs of rotation. Tornado warnings flashed across phones. Sirens wailed through the salty air. There was no time, only minutes to take cover. The hardest hit area? The campground near the El Governor Beach Resort, a popular getaway for travelers escaping the cold. RVs and trailers were tossed onto their sides, their wheels pointed toward the sky. Aluminum walls crumpled like paper. Debris scattered across the beachfront in every direction. Campers sprinted for concrete shelters, gripping whatever they could find as the storm screamed overhead. One survivor compared the sound to a freight train coming right for us. A chilling phrase rescue crews have heard too many times in Florida's storm country. The moment the winds began to calm, local police and firefighters rushed into action. Search teams spread out through the wreckage, overturned cars, shattered campsites, and broken debris, calling out for anyone who might still be alive or injured. Power lines were down everywhere, leaving parts of the town in total darkness. The only sounds breaking the silence were the responders shouting through the chaos. Miraculously, no deaths were reported, an unbelievable outcome considering the scale of destruction. For the people of Mexico Beach, this felt like déjà vu. Back in 2018, Hurricane Michael, a Category 5 beast, tore through the same area, wiping out homes and forever changing the coastline. This new disaster reopened old scars. The hotels built after Michael, reinforced with stronger materials and modern designs, stood tall. But the older homes and mobile structures weren't so lucky. Once again, nature proved that it strikes hardest where we're most vulnerable. As emergency crews continued their work, meteorologists began piecing together what happened. Early signs pointed to a possible tornado. Twisted metal, uprooted trees, and swirling radar patterns all told the same story. Even after the skies cleared, the community knew this was far from over. The long road to recovery had just begun. Experts say storms like these are getting harder to predict. Violent weather can form in just minutes, faster than our warning systems can react, leaving people trapped and unprepared. For the residents of Mexico Beach, resilience isn't new. They've weathered disasters before. But this morning was another harsh reminder, how quickly a peaceful sunrise over the Gulf can turn into absolute chaos. While rescue teams worked through piles of debris along the coast, another crisis began to unfold hundreds of miles away in South Florida. At first, the skies over Boca Raton looked harmless, just your typical Sunday rain. But then, everything changed. A mass of warm, heavy air hung low over the city, while powerful upper-level winds clashed above it. Within minutes, thunderstorms began stacking one after another, like an unstoppable chain reaction. What started as a light drizzle turned into a brutal downpour. In less than 2 hours, over 5 inches of rain hammered the city. Streets that had weathered plenty of summer storms before were suddenly underwater. Major roads, Federal Highway, Southeast 7th Avenue, and entire neighborhoods disappeared beneath rushing brown floodwater. Drivers who tried to push through found their cars stalling, engines sputtering as the water kept rising. Boca Raton Airport took one of the hardest hits that day. The runways turned into a shallow lake, forcing all flights to stop immediately. The airport shut down completely, planes grounded, travelers stranded, and crews unable to move their equipment through the flooded access roads. In just minutes, a key transportation hub for the region was out of service. Meanwhile, chaos spread across nearby neighborhoods. Water crept past porches, up driveways, and poured through garage doors. Power lines failed one by one as transformers sparked in the rain-soaked night. First responders raced from one flooded street to another, fighting through strong currents that could easily push parked cars away. And in the middle of it all, everyday people stepped up to help. One powerful moment caught on camera showed a man wading chest-deep through floodwaters to save an elderly driver trapped inside his sinking car. Those images spread online within minutes. Headlights glowing eerily beneath muddy water, people stumbling through rushing currents, and entire streets swallowed by the storm. It was a night Boca Raton won't forget anytime soon. City officials sprang into action as flood alerts went off. Massive pumps kicked in, roaring through the storm. Barricades went up, rerouting traffic away from rising waters. Emergency crews rushed out, fighting to clear storm drains that clogged up within minutes. It was a race against time. Entire neighborhoods were turning into temporary lakes. Boca Raton, a city known for its modern infrastructure, suddenly faced a harsh reality. The drainage system, built to handle normal Florida rain, couldn't keep up with the sheer power of this storm. Experts later warned that the floodwater was carrying oil, trash, and chemicals straight into the intracoastal waterway and nearby wetlands, putting local wildlife in danger. Marine biologists braced for algae blooms and dying fish within days. And as the cleanup began, city leaders delivered a sobering message. Florida can't keep relying on old ideas about the weather. These fast-forming, high-impact flash floods aren't rare anymore. They're the new normal. They're no longer rare events. They're becoming part of everyday life in a hotter, wetter world. Boca Raton was built for sunshine and calm seas. But tonight, it's a city underwater. Meteorologists are now piecing together how Florida got hit by a shocking 1-2 punch. Storms that grew stronger, faster, and far more unpredictable than before. Along the Gulf Coast, the warming climate is fueling storms with more energy, more power, and less warning. The system that hit Mexico Beach showed clear signs of rotation, like a tornado forming over the ocean. Doppler radar picked up a tight swirl moving toward shore. The National Weather Service issued a tornado warning, but the storm intensified so fast, even the best forecasts couldn't keep up. The evidence left behind told the story. Twisted metal, uprooted trees, homes torn apart. Experts say the winds likely exceeded 100 miles per hour. Whether it officially touched down or not, it didn't matter. The damage was unmistakable. It was tornado-level destruction. And here's the harsh reality. Florida's most violent storms no longer give people days, sometimes not even hours, to get ready. In both Mexico Beach and Boca Raton, danger struck within minutes. And when minutes are all you have, the difference between survival and tragedy comes down to one thing: early warning, strong shelters, and a community built to withstand what's coming next. As the storm finally lost its strength and the skies began to clear, the real scope of the devastation became painfully clear. Across Florida, first responders were pushed to their limits, answering calls from both coasts at the same time. In Mexico Beach, firefighters and sheriff's deputies moved carefully through a maze of overturned trailers and scattered debris, searching for anyone still trapped beneath the wreckage. Power crews worked non-stop to fix down lines, while residents stepped outside in disbelief, trying to make sense of what was left of their homes. Emergency shelters opened up to families who suddenly had nowhere safe to go. Some showed up with nothing but the clothes on their backs, others clutching pets still trembling from the chaos. Volunteers arrived with food, water, and blankets, small reminders that even in the darkest moments, people still come together. Further south, in Boca Raton, police and rescue teams waded through knee-deep floodwater to reach residents stranded in their cars or trapped in rising water. Utility workers spread out across the city, inspecting down power lines and flooded substations. Businesses along main roads were forced to shut their doors. Sandbags piled outside stores became the only thing standing between buildings and the creeping floodwaters. City officials urged everyone to stay clear of contaminated water filled with oil, sewage, and dangerous debris. Public works crews worked tirelessly to clear storm drains blocked with branches and trash, but every clear drain revealed the same harsh truth: the system simply couldn't handle the storm's fury. It was a long night for Florida, a night that would test not just the strength of its infrastructure, but the resilience of its people. The recovery began right away, but it wasn't easy. What looked like a quick storm left behind a massive, exhausting cleanup. Local leaders spoke proudly about how their communities pulled together, but they also admitted something important. Our infrastructure was never built for flash floods like this. Now, things like new funding, tougher building codes, and better drainage systems aren't just nice to have. They're absolutely necessary. All across Florida, people looked around at the damage and realized something deeply unsettling. This wasn't some once-in-a-decade storm. It was a glimpse into a future that's already unfolding. Florida now stands at the very front line of America's climate reality. Tornado-strength winds tear through coastal towns. Flash floods turn modern cities into temporary lakes. And this isn't rare anymore. It's becoming normal, a new way of life for millions of Floridians. Every storm tells the same story. Homes that once felt safe suddenly crumble. Drainage systems that worked for decades now overflow in a single hour. Families who just finished rebuilding from the last disaster are forced to start all over again. This isn't just a warning, it's a wake-up call. The time between one emergency and the next keeps getting shorter. Preparation can't wait until the warning alert flashes on your phone. It has to start long before that. Experts have said it for years. A hotter planet means stronger storms. Warm oceans are fueling hurricanes that hit harder and move faster. Rain falls heavier, floods rise quicker, and the coastline feels it first. Florida has always lived close to nature's edge, but lately it feels like nature is changing the rules. Across towns like Mexico Beach and Boca Raton, people are adapting, rebuilding homes with stronger foundations, debating new safety plans, and fighting to protect what they love. These efforts show resilience, creativity, and hope, because there's still time to build a future where living by the coast can be safe, beautiful, and sustainable. Everyone watching this is part of that effort. Awareness leads to action, and action saves lives. Florida will face more storms. These communities will face more long nights of wind and water. And once again, they'll rise and rebuild. The real question is, how many more times must they rebuild before we change what we can still prevent? Paradise is worth protecting. So when the sky darkens and another alert goes off, remember this moment. 2 storms in one day. 2 warnings we can't afford to ignore. The storms hitting Florida today won't be the last. Places like Mexico Beach and Boca Raton are doing everything they can to stay strong, but each new season brings greater challenges. Stories like these need to be seen. People need to understand what's happening along our coasts before the next disaster strikes. If this video opened your eyes to how quickly weather can turn dangerous, take a moment to support the channel. Like this video so others get the message. Share it with someone who lives near the coast, someone who needs to be ready. And don't forget to subscribe for more real stories told with urgency, honesty, and hope.